building an important high reliability strategies relationship with the school leadership team. And we, in last week's session, I talked about there'd be 3 or 4 key aspects of that I'd be wanting to target. But it's really important that at the beginning of next year, your school leadership team, as much as possible, understands the high reliability strategies, what literacy looks like, what their role can be in it, and so on. And it's really great, you know, to see, for instance, like Robin and Karen and Rick here, who can really, you know, I mean, there are going to be some principals at least who are right, totally on top of this, and who can really. Have I missed some school principals? I haven't I? Yeah, no, I've missed other ones as well. But anyway, it's really great because it means we are going to have greater success where school leadership teams know what we're on about. We will not be nearly as, I hate to say this, but we won't be as successful. Sorry, we won't be nearly as successful where a school leadership team really isn't aware of where this is going and doesn't know how to support it and doesn't know what it would look like. It's really important that this relationship be built up, and that if you can, over the next few months, invite the leadership team to really want to know precisely what you're doing, to spend time, if possible, in your classroom seeing it, to want to know the obstacles that you've experienced, to talk about what a plan might look like for the school for next year, because as you're going through, you'll be thinking through this. How will it be implemented? What will it look like? There are so many aspects where, you know, if the school leadership really builds the knowledge about instructional leadership this year, you'll be really ready to move into it much better next year. You know, you've given yourselves time to learn, and that's really, we know that's really important. The third aspect of your role this year, if you're able to implement this, is to really be informing the rest of the staff. So the rest of the staff know that this is going on. And the more they can learn about it, the better. That it is that little Billy, who was having difficulties with literacy, now is able to do things with words, or is able to comprehend sentences, or at the end of a lesson can actually say, you know, what he's learned. That it is useful for solving problems. That there are particular ways of scaffolding children to comprehend text more easily and so on. And again, I mentioned a range of things to look at in terms of building staff awareness. I would see your work with the rest of the staff this year as almost getting them ready to be involved in the activity. Now, if you can go further, that's fantastic. But at least you can use this time for the rest of the staff to know that you're blazing the trail for them. This would be how I'd be putting it. That you're working for the rest of the staff. So what Connie's doing at Broadmeadows is really working, aren't you, Connie? You're working for the rest of the school. You're identifying possible hurdles, obstacles in your context that everyone else can benefit from. Everyone can benefit from your knowledge. And it is important, therefore, that the leadership team, if possible, look at resourcing to some extent your work this year to allow that to develop more. Because what you learn is going to benefit the school as a whole. And that's where the whole issue of building a group knowledge as you go along of the high reliability strategies is important. And I suggested last time that it may be useful to have a group of staff in your school who may not be as involved actively in doing the high reliability strategies at this time, who are just who are experimenting with the early aspects of the strategies, to meet with you 2 or 3 times a term to hear about how you're progressing, to give you feedback, because they're going to be doing it more dispassionately because they're not actually involved in it, and to help you evaluate, how it's going. And if some of those teachers wanted to spend time observing how things were going in your room, that would even be better still. And the fourth aspect of your work this year could be to think about how you do need particular processes in the school to allow the high reliability strategies to be implemented much more systematically next year. Things like making sure you do have professional learning teams that have a specific focus on literacy, and the processes that we talked about last time and we'll continue to talk about to do with planning or to do with gathering data, that those processes are in place to allow the program to gradually build up. So what I was suggesting here was that over the next 4 or 5 months, you can use your experiences as a critical knowledge building phase where you are actually out there gathering knowledge for your school as a whole. And I wanted to mention these just to draw your attention to the need for these 4 aspects. And these, of course, are not separate. They're all interacting with each other. It's a cumulative thing. It's an integrating thing as you go along. Would anyone like to respond to what I'm saying there? I was really wanting us to be strategic in how we were thinking through this. In other words, how can we use these next few months to get as much professional knowledge as possible? Professional knowledge about the teaching, about the role of the leadership team in leading it, bringing the rest of the staff on board, because the more they're on board, the easier it's going to be for you. And fourthly, precisely what processes do you need? Now, some of these we need to unpack more. The processes we need to unpack more, and the instructional leadership I want to unpack more. Can anyone see any problems with this? There are some, yes, sorry, there are some situations where schools in Northern Region, as in any region, are changing at this point, and to some extent this does assume an element of stability, in terms of where the school is. I don't know what we can do about those, but all we can do is still go on gathering the knowledge to the best that we can. Sorry, mate. I could also mention about the importance of all of the other bits of information that go on in a staff meeting. It is possible as well for, if you were to put together, say, 4 or 5 sentences in an email and send it around to the rest of the staff. That could be one way, and I wouldn't, of course, dare believe that the Munro strategies were more important than anything else, but